Thank you for the introduction. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to, as well as present our project. This is an emerging space, the rare earth space, especially in clays. And I just want to focus on a few important points when looking at these types of investments. So there's our disclaimer. Make yourself aware of that. We have a booth and we have some available. So when you have some time, I'll leave that to you. So Victory is Australia's largest heavy rare earth enriched system, and that was announced recently from our maiden resource, where we demonstrated 250 million tonnes of rare earth element oxide, which equates to 130,000 total, 130,000 tonnes of TREO. So one thing that's really unique about the Victory project in North Stanmore is our ratios of heavy rare earths versus total rare earths. So that's sitting between 33 and 34%, and that gives us a very high basket price of $102,000 per tonne. So we also have very high percentages in that heavy rare earth ratio of dysprosium and terbium. Now, they're the future of rare earths. They're the two critical elements, and they're extremely valuable and predicted to be 70% deficit by 2030. We've also achieved very excellent metallurgy with over 77% recoveries, and the North Stanmore project is 100% owned. We have very few stakeholders to deal with, and we're situated in the Midwest in Kew between Mount Magnet and Meekatharra, and we have very excellent logistical advantages as well. We've got an infill drilling program that's actually about 2 weeks away from completion, and that's resource definition program to look at building up our existing MRE and increase the confidence from inferred to indicated. That's also expected to increase the grade as well as the scale. So only a few weeks left of drilling. We've got an air core rig out there at the moment and a diamond rig, and things are going extremely well. Another really important part of these rare earth plays in clays is the actual leach times and the metallurgy process. So Victory's achieved excellent recoveries with low leach times and low acid use and using economical types of acid, and I'll touch on that very shortly. Another important factor is radioactive elements. We have no anomalism of radioactive elements. It's very common in rare earth systems to have uranium and thorium, and fortunately we don't have that to deal with in this system because that creates several complexities at the recovery process. The initial mineral resource estimate, 250 million tonnes at 520 parts per million. The initial program was quite a large spacing between drill holes. Our actual in-hole assays is over 820 ppm. So with the infill drilling program, we're really expecting to see a good increase in grade. With further holes, it will bring more confidence. It happened with our peers, IXR, when they did their inferred resource. Their grade was lower than what their indicated results were. So we're looking forward to that. We've got a massive exploration target of 700 million to 1.1 billion tonnes, and that's only over a very small part of the North Stanmore area, and we have mineralisation open in all directions. Now, for these systems, you actually don't need hundreds and hundreds of millions of tonnes. That will just bring you can identify the high-grade zones. But anything kind of over 100 million tonnes can, if you've got good metallurgy and good ratios of rare earths, it will make, I think there's a very high chance to have a project at that level. Which I mentioned before, the key standout for us is the ratios of heavy rare earth ratios, sitting at about 33 to 34%, and that's outstanding. Also 54% of critical metals, which is identified by the US government. Now, this is a really important point here. Not all rare earths are actually rare. There's rare earth elements like cerium and lanthanum that are actually in higher supply, abundant supply, and they're not valuable. They're worth about $6 combined a kilogram. And so you might have something that's got a higher grade, but most of that grade is polyfiller, which is probably cerium. And we don't have that. We don't have that in this system, so that's a great advantage. Now, when you look at the price of dysprosium and terbium at $2,700 a kilogram combined, there's a big difference there, and that's when you look at this basket price. You've got to look at it like a bunch of 15, 16 elements. It's a bunch of goodies. They all have different values, and we've mentioned IXR and Meteoric. IXR have got a rare earth project in Uganda and Meteoric in Brazil. And the reason why we refer to these companies is because they release, as Victory, a very reliable data set, and we're able to have a good comparison with those two peer companies. And as you can see there, it's quite a big difference, and you can see Victory is leading the pack with the highest basket price, and that is because of our ratios of heavy rare earths and dysprosium and terbium. Some further comparisons. I won't go through all of these charts, but I want to just touch base on the one on the top left-hand side first. That's the heavy rare earth to total rare earth ratio. You can see, again, Victory well above the other two companies. And then also the dysprosium and terbium ratios. They're critical elements, as I mentioned, and very valuable. Now, in relation to the two light rare earths, neodymium and praseodymium, together with dysprosium and terbium, they're the four magnet metals. They're light rare earths, and they're worth about $130 a kilogram each. And Victory is a couple of percent, sitting around 18%, and that's because, and the others around 21%. That's because we're a heavy rare earth dominated system, and that doesn't affect our basket price at all, because as you could see, we are already well ahead there, and the heavy rare earths are really the focus. The industrial levels of uranium and thorium, you can see that Victory is well below the average, where our levels are actually under the upper continental crust level limits, so we have no active anomalism. And where you can see somebody like Meteoric, and they're dealing with a more complex system where they've got about 10 times the radioactive elements that they have to deal with, which comes through when you do your recoveries. It comes through similar to heavy rare earths, so it's going to be an issue to deal with at the recovery stage, and I'm glad it's not an issue that we have to deal with. Okay, so Q, the location. We have the Great Northern Highway, which is, as we know, one of the most major arterial network roads in Australia, connecting the Pilbara to the Perth and the ports, and that runs straight through North Stanmore. We're situated about 7 kilometres from town, and we benefit from the Q airstrip as well, which is a bitumised airstrip, and Westgold, our neighbour, fly in a 76-seat aircraft. And looking forward at future economics of CapEx, when you've got these infrastructures, it actually makes a lot of sense that you don't have to look at building airfields, etc., when you get to the production stage. We've also recently, Westgold's mobilised, commissioned a hybrid power station, and that's because the Q region is a very favourable, with all weather conditions. We have not much rain there, and can operate all year round, and exploration all year round as well. So we've got excellent advantages, and we're about 420 kilometres to the Geraldton port, being the nearest port. So metallurgy, we went out in the initial stage to go and focus on those heavy rare earths, because as I keep on drumming on, that's where the value is. And with low leach times and low temperature, only 4 hours leach time, we achieved an excellent recovery of over 60% of heavy rare earths. And we went back and had a crack at, with our technical lead, Professor Ken Collison's advice, we went back and tried another technique to get the light rare earths out, and we added one process to the flow sheet, and we're able to get a 77% recovery of our 4 magnet metals, which is really outstanding. And that was using a blend of ammonium sulfate and sulfuric acid. And sulfuric acid is 4 times cheaper than hydrochloric acid, and way easier and less environmentally impacting as what hydrochloric acid is. So that's another thing when you're looking at these systems, to consider what the acid use is and also leach times. In very simple terms, if you've got a project with a 2-hour leach time or a 12-hour leach time, they're going to have a 6-time larger plant to get the same throughput as somebody with a 2-hour leach time. So leach times are very important. This is our conceptual flow sheet, and it's a very simple process. So we've identified that the majority of our rare earths are actually caught up in the finer material, and so we can beneficiate our material very well with about 148% increase. And so what we do is we get rid of the coarse material, and then let's not forget we're in Q, which is one of the most famous gold regions in WA, and has a lot of alluvial gold. So we're going to set up an alluvial gold plant that's for the coarse material, and then goes back to pit. And then we go through a leach process, and we create our mixed rare earth carbonate, which is what we would deem as our final product, and then it would go off to the refiners. now, which is a way more complicated process. The average is about 75%, 80% of value that you get in your mixed rare earth carbonate. So it's still a very valuable product. And we've got nickel and cobalt in our system, and imminently we're producing this carbonate, and we're very interested to see whether we're able to actually extract nickel and cobalt at the same time. And we'll update the market in the very near future about that. So back to metallurgy: low acid use, low cost acids, low leach times, low radioactivity, and low impurities. And then you've got, we took all those boxes, and that's why we're getting excellent recoveries. And in relation to impurities, and I'll click to this slide here, not everyone's actually announcing what their impurities are. Victory has very low levels, because when you're processing, you get the aluminium and iron that comes through. You then need to extract that and get rid of that. It could be a costly exercise. We've got very low levels of impurities, which is another positive thing. I think we're all starting to learn a lot more about rare earths and the critical uses, but with the transition of renewable energies and the defence industry, I think they're the key factors that's driving this forward, and that's why you're seeing in 2030 forecasts of massive deficits of these elements. So the government is heavily behind this space, and there's a few examples there, but with the government loaning Aluka over $1 billion, you've got the US government with Linus in the US building a plant and a refinery. So there's a lot of support that's coming through government, and that's a very exciting space for us to be in. And the next year, this is what it kind of looks like for us. We've got our infill drilling program to increase the grade, confidence and scale of our existing resource, and that is well underway, and as I mentioned earlier, only a couple of weeks from completion. And we've got some excellent times, about 3 weeks, 3.5 weeks at the moment to get assays back from the lab, so we're not having the same problems as what we had about a year ago. We've got the exploration 7 kilometres to the north. Our mineralisation's open in all directions, and we really believe that there's some significant upside to the north. We've got the imminent outcome of our own mixed rare earth carbonate that will be completed actually tomorrow. I'm flying to Brisbane this evening, and we're doing that tomorrow. And ongoing metallurgy and beneficiation studies. Of course, you're always trying to look at the right mix, although so far we think we've actually we've cracked it, and we've got a good position that we've a good outcome. Offtake and JV discussions. It's a very exciting space, the rare earth space, and of course, our doors are open, and it's likely that there's going to be lots of people. Linus made an announcement at the diggers that they're looking for clay, heavy rare earth enriched systems, and that's exactly what we are. So we look forward to what discussions can be underway there, and obviously JV discussions also. Scoping study, we're at the end of these upgraded MRE, we're pushing straight into scoping study, and that will be scheduled to commence early next year. So just got 50 seconds left. So well funded for these programs. We've got over $3 million in the bank. We're Australia's largest heavy rare earth enriched system. We've got huge tonnage. We're 100% owned, and no land access issues. And as I mentioned, not many stakeholders to also deal with, which is very favourable. And in relation to the corporate structure, sitting at around $18 million at the moment, which is outstanding value compared to peers. And we've got a very tight register, only 80 million shares on issue, 18 million oppies, and they're all priced above the current trading price, so there's nothing silly there. And excellent support from the board and founders. I'm a major shareholder personally, with about number 2 or 3 in the register, so I'm fully behind it. And I thank you for your time, and look forward to talking to any of you if you want to know more about what we've got on the go. Thank you.